Right now, you are living your life by everybody else's rules, and it's holding you back. In today's episode, we are talking with previous guest Elise Loehnen about her new workbook, Choosing Wholeness Over Goodness.
Can you actually say what you want? Most of us cannot. We have subjugated what we want to other people's needs for our entire lives, and that has been what's been modeled for us by our mothers and our grandmothers and our aunts and our friends.
This workbook, alongside her previous book, On Our Best Behavior, are life-changing. And I say that not in hyperbole. It's so incredible.
I have learned how to bring my body into decision-making in a way that has kept me from betraying myself.
In this conversation, we're talking about how to stop believing the scripts that were handed to you by society, by your family, and instead start writing your own.
So many of us are conditioned to be like, envy is gross and malicious, and I don't envy anything. In my experience, men are much more capable of being like, I'm envy of that prick. But for women, it's not conscious. We don't let it come up so that we can even say, oh, I'm jealous.
Elise and I dig into how good girl conditioning shapes our entire lives, but also the stories we tell ourselves about money, success, relationships, our bodies, and power, and how you can edit those narratives into something entirely yours.
Women are conditioned to perform their goodness in the world. Men are conditioned for power. But because women are conditioned to perform their goodness, we're incredibly susceptible to reputational harm.
If you've been feeling stuck in a role that you never auditioned for, this conversation is for you. Let's get into it. Elise, welcome back to the show. What does it look like when a woman embraces wholeness instead of goodness?
I think we would see women occupying more space in our culture, being themselves, not spending energy trying to regulate how they show up in the world. I think most of us spend a lot of our precious energy trying to perform to cultural standards, unfortunately. So I think we would see women are already amazing. I think we would see even more fully expressed, amazing women in the world. And I think our culture would start to change really dramatically, really quickly.
I am such an admirer of your work. You know this. Last time you came on the show, I literally told you and still believe, like, I wish I had thought of that because it's just so good. You talk about the 7 deadly sins, envy, pride, gluttony, etc., actually get projected onto women to keep us small. While you were writing, was there one sin or story that you were personally dealing with or had the hardest time letting go of?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that as people have worked through the book, and this is feedback I hear all the time, they open a chapter and they're like, money or sex, like not really my thing, only to discover, oh yeah, it is my thing. And what I find as I do this work, because I'm doing it right alongside all of the readers in an ongoing way throughout my life, to be honest, I am going deeper and deeper into the onion. So as I peel back sort of the first layer of stories that I have about my body and food or money, and is it base and unspiritual and bad to want more of it, etc., I come to even deeper and deeper stories. So first, I would say the fastest one for me to access was gluttony, because I think that's the one that's most obvious and most pronounced in our culture. This will shock no one, right? A good body is a body that's disciplined and as small as possible and conforming and all of those things. We know this. This is still, to this day, held out to us as like a gesture of our value, right? And then I would say the one really that's the most difficult for me to this day is greed. I just have so many stories about scarcity and having too much and not wanting to create any bit of inequity in my life ever that I'm still doing work on greed to this day.
You're in the right place.
I know. No, I was like, let's just do a coaching session, Tori. Just
amazing. No, but I feel the same way where, even as a money expert, there's still hangups that I have around money, right? Yet alone all of the rest of them. I think something you just said sparked it for me, especially with like gluttony. And again, one of the sins you talk about of, how do you have a disciplined relationship with your body? How do you have the fattest ass, but also the flattest abs? And how do you make sure that you don't indulge in anything? And the thing I wrote down as you were talking about that is like shape shifting. Like, I think we sometimes get smart about these sins and their impact on our lives. Like, oh yeah, when I do ask for more money and they tell me to just be grateful, that's stupid. Or, okay, we're going to be body positive or body neutral, but then there's this thing that comes up. It's like the GLP-1 thing again. Like it always shape shifts into something new. So can we talk briefly about what happens when we do get wise onto one of these sins? How is the patriarchy or white supremacism or whatever we're talking about start shape shifting to continue surviving?
Yeah. I mean, it just keeps occupying space in our minds, I think. So we abandon or we maybe grow out of one story and then we pick up another one, right? And I think that underneath all these stories, because that's a really good question, why do we have these stories about what it is to be a good woman? And why do we keep them going and keep giving them energy and in our lives? And the reality is that they cover up a lot of very understandable fear. And not only are we built for fear as humans biologically, this is one of the energies that has kept us alive. But in our current culture, our fear is just stoked all the time. And it's, it's sort of these three buckets of fear. I'd say fear of loss of approval, which is a huge one for women. If you're excommunicated, if you don't belong, if you stand out from the crowd, you lose the protection of the people. It's like, again, biologically hardwired in us that exclusion equals death, right? So there's fear of loss of approval. There's, and I would say for women who are trying to move past this and put this stuff down and move on, it requires standing apart from other women often. And there is a strong instinct of like pulling the crab back into the bucket when we see a woman who is like, I'm not participating. I'm out of here. It's like,
tall
how
poppy.
Dare you? Yeah, tall poppy. How is she getting away with that? She's too big for her britches. Why her and why not me? This is a big part of the chapter on envy. The other buckets of fear are fear of loss of control. And then, of course, fear of loss of safety and security, which is the biggest kahuna of them all. And so we keep these stories going because we're convinced that if we let them go in some way, we will die. And that looks like not being lovable, not being valued, etc. So it sounds crazy, but once you dig deeper into them, you're like, oh, that's the fear. I do everything so in the sloth chapter, one of my stories is I'm the only one who can do it right, so I should do it all. This is a story a lot of women have. When I sit with that story and I say, what's the underlying fear? Why do I do this? There's huge payoffs for me, by the way, Tori, in my life and career. I've gotten really far being the only one who can do it right, so I should do it all. It's also exhausting. I can't keep going without accepting support. Yeah, not sustainable. Yeah. But it's gotten me really far, major payoffs. The underlying fear, which is so sad, is fear of loss of approval. Why would anyone want me to be around if I'm not making everything easy? Would my husband still love me if I didn't make his life so nice and turnkey? He's not suggesting this, by the way, but this is what I've been swimming in since birth, like many of us. I have to be useful. I have to be in service. I have to take care of everything so that people want me to be around.
It's all about control, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like all roads lead back to control, both control of the unknown, but also the outside forces trying to control us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Not a question, but that's what it comes down to for me, of like something that I encountered every time I was doing research and writing my book. And every time we do this show is it's like the reason society does not want women to have money is they become uncontrollable when they do. The reason society does not like women to like themselves and be okay in whatever body they're in is control. Like all roads lead to control.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the lash of like, you won't, this fear of loss of approval, all of these, this is like a lash that we're hit with. And I don't know how many people are conscious of it. It's just the patriarchy in action. And we respond. The fear response gets triggered and we respond in kind. And yes, certainly women who don't need the protection of men, definitely harder to control, right? Women who, I mean, it's so obvious. And yet I think so many of us get so mad at ourselves for participating in this. How can I be so stupid? Why am I doing this? Why is this in my head? There are very good reasons that these stories are in our head. And these stories in some ways have kept us safe and they don't serve us anymore. And it's time to put them down.
I hope you're enjoying the episode today, but before we keep going, I want to share something really, really exciting with you. If you've ever wanted to be a business owner or take your side hustle to the next level, I'm bringing back my signature business bootcamp program with my friend and fellow entrepreneur, Mallory Rowan. If you've considered yourself a wantrepreneur and you know that corporate life is not for you, you don't like your job, you don't like the mission of the company you're working for, you hate commutes, you hate having to sit at a desk for 40 plus hours a week, then this is for you. If you are stuck figuring out what your offer should be, how to get your business off the ground, and how to scale it, this bootcamp is for you. We're helping you go from idea to income in 90 days or less. More details coming soon, but for now, you can go to herfirst100k.com/biz-waitlist to get all of the information first. That's biz-waitlist, and we'd love to see you there. Now back to the episode. You were mentioning fear. I think we talked about this last time as well. It's something I have spent a lot of time thinking about and reading about, that, so much of this fear is lizard brain stuff from caveman days of, if I leave my cave or eat berries from a bush that I haven't already eaten, like I literally could die. Like this literally is life or death. And now the fear is not the berry bush, it's getting canceled on social media or having our parents or our friends disapprove of our work, or I don't know, insert thing here. And we were having this conversation very briefly off mic before we started of even the tools that we use every day live and breathe on fear. Like social media, YouTube, the algorithm like lives on fear and on scarcity and on trying to protect yourself by ostracizing other people.
Yeah.
So it's not only we're battling our own brains, we're battling the larger systemic issues, but just I'm trying to scroll on TikTok to tune out, and yet I'm encountering 12 different things I have to worry about now. Can we chat about that for a little bit? Like, how do we navigate that?
Yeah. It's so insidious. It's funny because now I feel like I'm just actively trying to train my algorithm in the opposite direction. It's like I just send people like really wonderful pet adoption stories and like funny marriage memes. I send them to my husband just to try and get more of that in my feed because I don't want to be clickbaited.
Do you watch CBS This Morning? Do you ever watch this? Or not this morning, Sunday mornings? Do you ever watch this?
Sometimes, yeah.
So my parents love it. And I confess, because I don't have cable, I don't watch it all that often. But they've been doing this for like 40 years. And the last 2 minutes is silent nature.
Yes.
Like, have you ever seen it? It's like...
Yes.
And every time I see it, I literally like feel my shoulders shrink down my back and like my nervous system resets. And like, that's what I feel like I need on TikTok. It's just like, give me, I don't know, bumblebee on a flower for 2 minutes.
Yes. Well, I think we all need to reprogram not only our algorithms, but our relationship to fear. Because I think the other thing that happens culturally, I just did an episode on this on my podcast too, is that we feel, particularly with everything that's happening around us, which is truly terrifying, right? It feels like end of times and biblical. And every day it's like, what new disaster is unfolding on the world stage that I need to pay attention to, right? In this attention economy. And I think that, and this is like a different version of goodness. But I think that many of us think, if I want to be a good citizen here, if I want to stand up for what's right, I need to not only be paying attention to all of this, but I need to be vibrating. I need to match the energy of the moment. And I need to have loyalty to the fear and anxiety that people who are being kidnapped off the street by ICE are feeling in order to be a good person, right?
Yep.
And that's not right. That's the story. I get it. It gets me too. But we have got, particularly at this moment in time when we are being hijacked left, right, and center, both energetically and physically, we have got to learn how to manage our fear and to not pay loyalty to the anxiety, because that's the primary tactic of this administration is how do I scare people? Masked ICE agents. It's out of a playbook. Literally. It's like, I'm going to go and terrorize people like on Halloween every single day. And we are playing into the hands of this administration by letting our nervous systems be taken over. And so part of it is like, okay, I do not have to be loyal to this moment. I'm going to go watch 2 minutes of nature on CBS Sunday morning. I'm going to go outside. I'm going for a walk. I'm putting down my phone. What I tell myself is the more present and embodied I can be, the more I can manage myself, the less I'm projecting my fear onto other people, and the less I'm exacerbating the overall atmosphere, and the more I can take on from other people by saying clear, stable, grounded. And I think the other thing that happens, quite frankly, and why we get burned out is there's this idea that awareness is enough right now, that we all just need to be hyper aware. Well, it's just like flipping out our hypervigilance, truly, action over awareness. And so I think it's incumbent on all of us, pick your thing, titrate your news. I love Jessica Yellen, who does News Not Noise, and titrate it. Let her distill what's important and that you need to pay attention to. Team up with friends even. Like, you take this, you take that, I'll take this. Take some action. That's sort of the only thing that we can do. Write a letter, etc. But like the awareness that we're all being stirred to offer is just burning us out and getting all of our fear stories going.
Lulls at me mentioning CBS and then us talking about Trump. So whoopsie on that one. But
have you banned him from the show?
Trump? Well, yeah. No, CBS. I know when Survivor comes back on, I'm going to have an interesting moral conundrum. No, but I think, I think we've all heard that. And I want everybody to go back 5 minutes and listen again, because I do think it is so hardwired of like, I see horrible things that are happening in Gaza or ICE raids. And so it's like, I have to suffer along with them in order to feel better about the privilege I do have in my life. And I'm like, that doesn't actually help. Like that doesn't make anything better. It only makes you better. Like it centers you. When that's not what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah. It makes you feel better about other people's suffering because you feel like I have to play victim. I have to suffer.
Right. Yes. And there's a very human need to sort of also put ourselves in the middle of whatever is happening. And it's like, no, actually imagine that you're a washing machine. This is an image that I use that may resonate with people, or people might be like, you're so weird, lady, stop talking. But I just think of it as like, how much can I launder? Like, how much can I move through my body and move out and ground versus contributing to what's already present? I don't go and yell at people online. I don't feed it. Turn it down as much as you can. Take the volume down. Because
don't put tennis shoes in the washer.
Yeah. Yeah. But fear is not our friend. And we're scared, even though we don't really know how to recognize it most of the time. And it's good to just know that. It's okay. I'm scared. This story serves me because I'm scared. It's okay.
We're talking about fear, and also by extension, we kind of get into power with that. You've said that you tried to blame men for the lack of women in power, like for Hillary losing, for women being underrepresented in the media, for Kamala losing, and then you realized, oh God, part of this is me. How do we hold both things at once? Yes, system sucks.
Yes.
But am I playing a role in upholding that system?
Yes. Okay. So before I get into that, I just want to offer this quote that's not mine. It's from this man, John O. Powell, I want to say. He's a professor who runs sort of like the division of othering. And it is that we need to become much better in our culture at being hard on systems and structures and soft on people. We're really good at being hard on people and soft on structures and systems. So I just want to say that as sort of like a general tent, because that was such an unlock for me. And I think typically the tendency is like, who can I beat up? Like who is responsible, and where can I find my certainty and like land my punches? So,
well, a system doesn't have a customer service number.
No, it doesn't.
Like, or an Instagram inbox, right? Like patriarchy doesn't have something I can yell at. But I can yell at this particular person who I have decided is the problem today. Yeah.
Yes. And so when I started working on this book, and I was, like all of us, throwing around words like patriarchy, I was like, wait, hold on. What is the patriarchy? Where did it come from? When did it start? Is it a foregone conclusion? Isn't it a foregone conclusion? Oh, no, it's like actually not that old, right? And then I went to, well, who's responsible for the patriarchy? And is it Mitch McConnell? Is it Trump? Who's running this thing? And I was like, oh, nobody is running this thing. It's like Oz. But it is a system that was set in place that we, all of us, continue to perpetuate and enforce and see as the way things are, and therefore the way things will always be. So that was my first aha, was, oh wait, we've imbibed this as fact, but it's really a story. It's really something that we're maintaining with our own energy. And I also was like, it's fun to blame a bunch of men. And there are certainly a lot of men who have not only benefited from the patriarchy, but work really, really hard to uphold it. There are also a lot of women. And then there are a lot of women like you and like me who claim that we don't like this system. And yet we're also participating in maintaining it in the way that we treat ourselves and treat other women and treat men. So there's like a big responsibility taking that needs to happen of, I don't like this and I choose something else. And I am going to actively choose something else every single day. And we all know change is hard. It's really hard. And all the energy wants us to pull us back into a status quo. But it just takes this conscious, deliberate effort. Why am I shitting on this other woman? What is she doing that I want? Or what does she have that I want? Is the reason that I'm judging her, is that valid? Or is she just making me uncomfortable because she's breaking code? You obviously experience this all the time, Tori, right? All the time. So that's the sort of self-inquiry that we all need to take on as our responsibility if we're going to make something different happen.
Talk me through what that actually looks like in practice. Can I do like a little case study, like thought to thought to thought? So we're going to use me. Okay. We're going to pick on me. My post comes up in your Instagram feed and I'm talking about being a multimillionaire and how I want to be rich.
Yeah.
What happens in your brain and body in reaction to that upholds the patriarchy? And what do I then have to do in my brain and body to work through that emotion without going to the comments and being like, ew, gross.
Ew, gross, right? So recognizing, first of all, when that comes up, and I know you get this all the time, the energy that's arising is, ew, gross. Who does she think she is? How dare she? Why her and why not me? This isn't all necessarily conscious. It's just you're doing something that's making, I'll say it's me, making me deeply uncomfortable, right? I would never let myself do that. How are you getting away with that? Money is gross and base and you're not supposed to want more of it. I mean, I have a million stories. How you're supposed to take all of your wanting for more money and bury it under a desire to save the world. Like, what are you doing? You're violating all of my feelings about what a good woman says about money. And you're talking about it, Tori. Gross. We don't talk about money in polite society. So that's what's happening. But what happens is when someone makes us feel bad, this is the classic projection. This is like Jungian shadow projection work. When someone is making us feel uncomfortable, our instinct isn't to say, what's happening in me? Like, what is being activated in me? It's to say, that person is bad. They need to go away. So that's what you are experiencing in your comments. There's something that you're doing that the people who are responding to would never allow themselves to do. And so they need you to go away because you are making them feel bad. And I write about this a lot in Envy because I think because it's envy really at its root, and so many of us are conditioned to be like, envy is gross and malicious and I don't envy anything, that we're not conscious. In my experience, men are much more capable of being like, I'm envy of that prick. Like, I want that. I'm going to get that. Right. But for women, it's not conscious. We don't let it come up so that we can even say, oh, I'm jealous. I'm envious.
Well, because also feelings are very unbecoming for women, right? Yeah. Just having an emotion that isn't happiness all the time. Yeah.
Yes. Anything that's bad, that we code as bad, instead of like what it is to be a good woman is goes into the shadow trash bag for sure. Yeah. And then gets projected onto other people. She's a slut. Why is she wearing that dress? I don't want to see that. Like that's all the same process. Why does she think we want to look at her body? You know, It's not a good body. That's the same thing that we're talking about.
So that happens where somebody has those emotions. How do they work through them in a way that is helpful and healthy? Like, what questions are they asking themselves? I think one is like, do I actually want this thing? Like, am I targeting this person because they're showing me what I want and what is possible? Like, what are other questions or things that we can help work through?
All right. So the minute that this starts happening in you, whether it's about money or someone's body, it could be in any sphere, someone being lazy, someone on vacation with their, whatever it is, when you start having that feeling, I don't like this is rubbing me the wrong way. You could call it feeling triggered. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to say, like, you can always tell based on your reaction, it's either informing you or it's like activating you. If it's informing you, if I see a post from Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm not envious of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Usually I'm like, that's a problem. That's like so mean. That's so horrible. It's easy to understand what that is. I'm not envious of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But if you're having a reaction to Tori, for example, most likely it's your envy. And then you catch yourself and you say, this is how, honestly, Tori, like how I ended up leaving my job, starting my own podcast, starting to write my own books after ghostwriting for, I think I'd ghostwritten 12 books for other people, standing behind brands, was being like, hearing myself. It's shameful to admit it, but hearing myself being like, I didn't like that book. Why is her podcast so successful? I don't like her. Like, why do people think she's so great? Okay. So this is my own example. And then
I have a million examples on my own as well. I know we're using me as like, I guess, a quasi victim in this, but like I've done this to a million other women as well. Like, this
but
is
you get it all the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm often on the receiving end, but like I could give you 2 moments from, 2 weeks ago that I have had these feelings about a woman presenting herself in a certain way.
Yes. Getting away with something, right? So
yeah.
When you recognize it and you're like, then you can arrest it and say, it's honestly all it takes is like knowing, looking for this and watching your friends, do it with your friends. When they start doing it, being like, okay, wait, stop. What's happening here? What is happening here? Because there's really good information for you. There's something here that you want for yourself, or she's doing something that you want to do. So you stop it and you say, what's happening? And then you say, oh, it's because like, I want to write a best-selling book. I want to host my own podcast. Like this is my soul.
I want to wear a bikini.
I want to wear a bikini without feeling self-conscious. Yeah. I want to have an easy relationship with money and make a lot more of it. I don't want everything to feel so hard. I want that level of effortless wealth or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can, as you start interrogating it and investigating it, you say, oh, I understand. This is my soul saying, pay attention. This person has something that I want. I need to use this to guide my life forward. It's showing me what I want. And most women, I mean, I ask everyone listening to do this exercise. Can you actually say what you want? Most of us cannot.
Yep.
No, we have subjugated what we want to other people's needs for our entire lives. And that has been what's been modeled for us by our mothers and our grandmothers and our aunts and our friends. And so when I do this exercise with women, what do you want? Like, what do you really, really want? We start in one corner of the football field and end up, I don't know how many yards are in a football field, but we end up 100 yards down the line. We're so far away from what they can first even say because they just they won't allow themselves to even know what they want.
It makes me teary when you talk about all of the women before us because, I mean, this has been going on since the dawn of time, but like when you make it personal of like, what did our mothers want versus what did their life look like? What did our grandmothers want versus what their lives look like? And there's hopefully listeners out there who have women in their lives who go unabashedly for the things that they want, even if that is not socially acceptable. I have some of that, but I don't have all of that. And that's the thing that breaks my heart is when I see it, with another woman, especially, related to me or close to me. And then that leads me to think about myself, right? If I can feel that way of hoping that women I care about actually figure out what they want, not what their parents want or their spouse wants or society wants for them, but what do they actually want? Why wouldn't you hope that for yourself too?
Yeah. Isn't it? It's so deep. And I have two thoughts. One, I think that what you're naming is why, and hopefully there aren't any #tradwives listening who will take offense, but that's why, that's why this movement I think is so offensive. It's like, yes, you can certainly live an off-grid life and garden and all of these things are beautiful, but to sort of want to roll back. I mean, my dad's South African. My mom is, from poor farmers in Iowa. I would not want, I don't think that that's what my great grandmother wanted for me. Let me tell you.
Elise, I also get it though. Because we're in this hyper consumption, hustle, capitalistic culture. It feels good to be taken care of. It feels good to say, oh, I'm not going to participate. But as soon as you dig in further, you're like, okay, but you're handing over agency. You're not being taken care of. You're handing over total and complete agency to somebody else. And by the way, the only reason we know tradwives exist is they're all on the internet making money.
Yeah.
Like you're saying,
great point.
I don't have, I'm not managing my own money. I stay at home with my children, which again is fine. You stay at, my mom is a stay-at-home mom, but like you are making money talking about this lifestyle on the internet. You are making money selling your raw milk on the internet. Like, so it doesn't work. But I understand the idea of it, which is we're all so deeply tired and burned out that we just want to be held and taken care of for just 2 seconds.
Trust me. And listen, I'm from Montana. I have my fantasies about moving home and having a simpler life.
Yes.
I don't have any illusions about how hard it is to live in Montana during the winter. Yes. So, okay. But Trav-wise aside, with On Our Best Behavior, and then there's this workbook, Choosing Wholeness Over Goodness, that's coming out with the paperback. And one of the tools is exactly this. And I love this one because essentially, once you've figured out what these stories are, right? Let's say we're talking about money. You shouldn't want more money. It's based to want more money. Whatever it is, like whatever the opposite of what you are teaching in the world is, Tori. Women shouldn't talk about money. The tool, which I think anyone can do at any time, is to go into a women's college and to teach a class. And this, we actually ask you to do this in the workbook, to teach a class of 18 to 22-year-old women how to make sure that this story for them is also true. So let's say the story is, my story is like, polite girls don't talk about women. So I go and you create a little syllabus. We'll guide you through creating this syllabus. And then you go and you take this story that you're carrying around about women and money, and you teach the next generation how to make sure that that story is true for them too. And as you do it, and it's funny and you make it really big, but you just start to realize it becomes more obvious, like, oh, this is what we're passing on to each other, right? Like this is the contagion that we're spreading through nice girls don't talk about money, which when you're teaching a class, it's like, okay, make sure you marry a man who takes complete control of the finances. You want to be sure that you don't know anything about mortgages or how to get one. You don't want to really understand interest rates. While we're at it, make sure you don't
financial plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have your accountant's information. You have no idea how much money you have. Like that's
Make
definitely
sure
how
your
you want
credit
to live
card
your
is
life.
not in your name.
Yes.
Oh, this is such an interesting. I'm like, what would I say? Yeah, make sure your credit card's not in their name. Make sure that he gives you an allowance, and you cannot overspend that allowance, or you are punished in some way. Like,
yeah,
well,
definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I mean, you could do this all day. But when you do it and you're like, this is what I am living, this is what I'm holding as a story about my life. Is this what you want to teach your niece and your daughter and your friend's daughter? Is this what we want to be passing on? But that's what we're doing, right? Yeah. And when you make it really obvious, it's like, oh shit, like, no, I refuse. I think for many women, it's hard to do this work for ourselves because, again, we're sort of trained to be selfless. But when you think about it in that context of this is what I'm teaching my kids and this is what I'm teaching other girls and other boys, it's like, okay, not today. Now I feel emboldened to stop this.
And yeah, we are being a little dramatic or making it all about like men's control over women's finances, which is a part of this. But it could also look like if you're bad with money, it means you're a bad person, right? Or if you're bad with money, you have no hope in fixing it. Just like if you're bad at French or playing the piano, you will never, ever get better. We know that's not true. You have to practice. You have to practice playing piano and it will be uncomfortable, but you will get better. It's the same thing with money. But again, I think we talked about this last time as well, that we feel like if we failed, we're a failure. It becomes part of the identity as opposed to just a neutral statement, which is, I'm not good with money right now. Not, I'm bad with money forever, or I can never get better with this. It is a DNA trait inside. It's just like, you know what? I'm not very good with money right now, but I can get better. I can learn.
Yes. It's like the season of great divorce memoirs right now. Maybe it's always that season, but but Jen Hatmaker has Awake coming out this fall. There's another book called Strangers coming out. This woman, Belle Burden, who wrote this viral modern love column over the COVID about her husband just coming home and leaving and being like, you take the kids. But in all of these memoirs, like one of the themes is, and Jen writes about it in a hilarious way, she had no idea, not a single iota of a clue about what was happening in her financial life. And it's a good read. It's a great, great book, but it's just a good cautionary tale. To your point, like, obviously people who are engaging with you probably have taken the first step towards managing their money, but many of us are scared to. And until we get sort of that brutal wake-up call. And there are no spoilers here, but Jen was like, learning how to manage my money was like the greatest thing for my like 46th year of life. But it's common, obviously. Otherwise, I mean, you have a robust business because, man.
I hope someday I don't. Like, I would love to be out of a job at some point. Also, we need to have Jen on the show. That's incredible. I didn't know if she said that. Can we talk about, we're talking about money. I think the gluttony and gluttony and envy, I think, are two easy ones to kind of pinpoint, which is like, again, skinny at all costs. And then, if I don't like this person, it's probably because I'm envious. How does this show up in other things? Like pride, I'm thinking of, or
pride.
Pride is, probably the big one. So maybe let's talk about that for a second.
Let's talk about pride because it's somewhat in a Venn diagram with envy and scarcity, which is, and I don't know. I know some people make this connection, but not enough of us make the connection between what happens to highly visible women in our culture and the way that we celebrate their invariable, inevitable takedown, right? Yeah. Like, I really worked hard to find examples for the book, Tori, of women who have endured without being, quote unquote, put back in their place. But
can you name one? Did you get to?
I was like the only person is Meryl Streep. I mean, not the only one, but she's an example of someone who sort of goes away and then she comes out and launches her book or next movie, and then she goes away. And because she doesn't chase any relevancy, she's not visible. I don't even know if she's on social media. She has managed to keep herself safe, from what I can tell.
I might be able to debunk that one. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. See?
I think she's a very good example. She's the closest I could have gotten.
Yeah.
But she tells a story about early in her career. She was basically told she was not pretty enough to be an actor. Like that her, because she has kind of a longer nose, that she would have to basically change her face in order to be successful. And it didn't matter how good of an actor she was. She had to be more palatable. She had to be more conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
But again, I think in her early 20s. I think that's part of it too, is just like, I think we all have like an older woman we admire who like just doesn't give a goddamn fuck. And it's like, so that's what we're talking about here. But like, how do we start it when we're 25? How do we start it when we're 40, not when we're 65 and wearing whatever we want,
Well, I think in the context of pride, which is the way that we come for women with pitchforks, and women come for women too. Let me be clear. Yeah. This isn't about men shooting them out of the sky. This is often women on women hate. It's like, again, being conscious of it and being like, what's happening here? Like, why am I so excited that like Billie Eilish, I just saw, was like, got in trouble for talking about being Irish or something. I don't know. It's like the latest cultural shenanigans of just like, she's had enough goodness. Let's put her down. But it doesn't just happen to famous women, right? It happens to all of us in our lives all the time. There's sort of a cap on what women can achieve, how much they can be seen and celebrated before we decide we're done. They're annoying. And I think that we all need to be super conscious of this pattern in order to break it. We do not do this to men.
Yeah.
They do not run out their relevancy curves in the same way at all. There are a few men, obviously, but they generally have to do something legitimately bad, whereas women aren't doing, what's the crime, right?
Being there. Taylor Swift on a Jumbotron is somehow the worst thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Versus pick male celebrity who has been courtside. Timothy Chalamet. I know because I follow him obsessively. He was like courtside at fucking every single Knicks game in the playoffs. Did people get sick of him? No. They were like, what a Knicks fan he is. Yes. Yay. Go
Yay
him.
For
he
Timothy.
loves his home team. Versus Taylor Swift supporting her boyfriend. Ew, gross.
Oh, gross. Yeah. Go away, Taylor Swift. Right? So part of it is just being conscious of what's happening here, which is that women are not allowed. Again, it goes to the very beginning of our conversation. Standing apart is dangerous. Excelling. Tall poppy in the poppy field. Bad. So the more and that is in us. We're very conscious, rightly so, of I need to be very careful about how much I'm putting myself out there, how much public sex public sex, yes, but public success I achieve because people are going to come for me. It's like an invariable thing. I will say, and I write about her in Choosing Wholeness, but one example of a woman in our space who I use almost as exposure therapy for this is Kara Swisher.
Yeah.
And because she like flexes like no one's business. She just flexes all over the place. And it makes
She name drops like crazy.
Name drops, access journalism, etc. And Scott gives her shit. He is also flexy. I'm much more tolerant of it from him, but I listen to them. I mean, I love Pivot, but also as exposure therapy because I spend the time being like, this is making me uncomfortable, Kara. Stop bragging, as a way to just be present with myself and to recognize what's happening in me in that moment. And she doesn't give a fuck, right? And that's another good example of our culture where women are conditioned to perform their goodness in the world. Men are conditioned for power. But because women are conditioned to perform their goodness, we're incredibly susceptible to reputational harm. All you have to do is say a woman is bad. And then we usually like take ourselves out. It's just so uncomfortable. But Kara doesn't care. And so in that way, she's a great example of someone who just keeps going. She doesn't give a shit. And so as much as we can sort of embody that energy and try, like use her as a persona, it's good for us. Go and brag a little bit. Go and just practice. Do it with your friends. Just like brag to each other. It's so uncomfortable, Tori. Yeah. And yet we all need to practice.
You want to hear mine?
Yes.
Bragging I don't have a problem with that.
Good.
It will shock no one to hear that I have big tits and I only discovered I had big tits like 7 years ago. And I didn't know because I was always taught to cover up and taught to not wear anything too revealing and to basically dress my body type. And a woman I follow, she's very famous. I'll say it. I've never told this to her. I think it's Noelle Downing. Have you seen this woman?
Mm-mm.
Similar size to mine. They're out all the time. Like all the time. And not in a way that is like OnlyFans purposely provocative. It's just like, I'm on a trip in France with my child and my husband. I'm wearing a dress that I want to wear. I happen to have bigger boobs, so they're just out. And a couple years ago, I was following her and I was seeing so much boob and it made me uncomfortable and I unfollowed her because I was like, she's showing off and like sexualizing herself. Now, I grew up Catholic. Again, I grew up with like, you do not dress like this. And then I got more comfortable with my own body because of course it was me. Of course it was me being like, I feel deeply uncomfortable with this because I feel like it's wrong or bad or it's drawing attention to yourself or it's asking for it, right? And as soon as I started uncoupling that belief with the way my body looked, I literally started following her again. And I realized I hadn't followed her for a while. Started following her again probably 6 months, a year ago when I got more comfortable with that. Because I was like, this challenges this feeling I have that I grew up with, that society tells me. And now you'll see on Instagram, the titties are out all the time for me.
But I love your boobs, just for the record.
Thank you. They're so heavy, dude. And I thought about cutting them off, but that's a story for another time. But it was literally like, okay, the bragging thing, whatever, talking about money, those things have never truly made me uncomfortable. But this is one thing that did. And I saw another woman doing something that I thought was scandalous or bad, or again, asking for it, calling attention to herself. She was just existing. Her boobs happen to be big. And in society, we have conflated, busty women with male desire. And it's like, that is a socialization. That is a social construct. Yeah. And as soon as I realized that that was what was triggering me and unpacked it, my life got better.
Yeah. No, but it's so like, that's the first step is just consciousness. It's just that. It's like, oh, I can actually take a breath and recognize what's happening in me. And then can I get more comfortable with this? And it will show up as you become, honestly, like whenever I get upset, I do this with one of my best friends, Sarah, who's my neighbor, and we walk all the time. It's like, we diagnose each other. It's like, Sarah, what's happening? Why is this person driving me crazy? Like, can you tell me what's happening? And then we like diagnose it together until we land at like, oh, I'm just jealous she's like getting away with this. I'm jealous she's like, so many people, are celebrating this thing about her. It's so helpful. It will change your life. It will change your life. Just that one action, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your boobs need to be free, Tori. Don't cut them off.
And the comments are going to continue, right? Like, I never commented on Noelle's videos or photos, but it was what was going on in my head. And there's just some people that make the stupid decision to take every thought in their head and put it on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Or even, your family might say something to you that is deeply hurtful. But it's like, once you realize what's going on and start unpacking that for you, that's not where it ends, because you're going to continue getting challenged in that belief over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So how do we sustain the work we just did? Like, how do we carry that through when something else is triggering for us, or when, we do have like a very significant thing happen in our life? Like, oh, I went for the raise and I was told no, and I was, fired because of it. Or I posted a photo on the internet where I was confident and I got 40,000 people who unfollowed me, which is a real life thing that happened to me. It's like, how do we deal with the real life consequences of that?
I mean, that's a major question. I mean, I tend to be, I'm a very spiritual person. And so I think, and I'm not like let's slap some toxic positivity on this and say everything is to your benefit always. But I would say, all right, Tori, you've been liberated from 40,000 people who feel like that you are in some way a reflection of them, and that they should be able to control your actions, and you should be according to their preferences, right? Like, so many of us live our lives like we get to control the external thermostat of the world to fit our preferences. It's actually bonkers, right? But this is how many of us feel. Like, I can't be around anything that bothers me right now. And for the person who went for the raise, and clearly these people don't see your value, right? They feel like they can just get on without you. And that's really good information to have. These are not your people. This is not your job.
Yep.
And so I'm not suggesting that these aren't hard, horrible lessons, but I think we get sort of the redirection that we need from life sometimes to, you can either sort of orient your success to pleasing people externally, recognizing you actually have no control over how people feel about you and whether they're going to like you or not. Yeah. Or you can just keep working on your own internal GPS and integrity and not trade off your values for likes or a job that feels bad.
I've said this many times on the show, but it's like, if you are sacrificing your own happiness, your own contentment, your own worthiness to make other people feel more comfortable.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
I tried it, guys. It doesn't work. It's not fun.
It might work in the short term. We all do things that we hate in the short term to do what needs to be done.
It absolutely works in the short term when, somebody else is more comfortable, but then it like festers, and it just like, it's like a little, I don't know, it's like you swallowed a tapeworm and it just like starts feeding on you from the inside.
Yeah. And it becomes increasingly threatening. Like, you survived, you not only survived losing 40,000 people, but you're doing great. Right.
And again, I'm giving an example, but there's a million. Yes. I have even higher stakes examples of this in my life that for privacy reasons, I'm not going to share. But like, I have very high stakes examples of this. I know other people who have even higher stakes examples of this where, they've lost their livelihood. They've lost their spouse. They've lost, close family relationships. And that's deeply, deeply hard and deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah. And life, unfortunately, is like suffering is part of life. And so are things happening to us that we would never choose and do not want. And yet, when you look back, it is easy to say, well, often easy to say. Even like I think about some of the horrible things that have happened to me. My best friend died, my brother's husband, when he was 39. He was like my brother, my best friend. And I can even look at his death at this point. It's been 8 years. I mean, I would do anything to have another conversation with him. And yet he course corrected. There was something about that loss that course corrected me in a way for which I can actually find gratitude. And that might sound like a perverse example, but I'm not alone in having that experience. It's like, what do you take when you take a terrible thing that's happened and then you're like, I need to actually use this. This can't be for naught. And I'm sure a lot of people we've all lost jobs. It's a rite of passage. And often it can just put you on a better track. It's very scary. I'm not suggesting that it's not, but this is life, you know?
There's a line I love that you said, and I felt the same way for so long. Quote, I was carrying my head around on a stick. When referencing being so in your head and disconnected from your body. Yeah. I think this is another thing that we're told is like, logic is good. And of course it is. But like, I logicked my way to so much anxiety. Mm-hmm. Like, I logicked my way to so much worry and concern to the point where like, I was not checking in on my body at all. Yep. Or felt like even that was too woo-woo or that was kind of bullshit because your brain and your thoughts are what matter. So how has your relationship to your body changed throughout this work? And is this something women are conditioned into?
I think definitely conditioned into, in part. I mean, it gets into the sort of the metaphysical, like the masculine is associated with sort of ascension and spirit and our Father, the Lord, and the woman is sort of the base material. Material, actually, it shares the root of matter, is mother. Right. So it's like the feminine is the body and sort of the womb and the tomb. And I
was just going to say, right where you're giving birth is like center, right? That's your center of gravity is your pelvic center. Yeah.
And we live in a culture that doesn't really have much reverence for women, for women's bodies, for the planet, right? There's like extreme devaluation of the feminine. So yes, I think that we are taught like you want to be thoughtful, ascended out of your body. And many of us have lost connection. I have been, I became dissociated from my body through early sexual trauma. That happens to a ton of women too, right? And boys and men. But so we sort of disconnect. We just like, it doesn't matter what our body wants, right? And it gets into the gluttony chapter in our hunger. Like, you can't know what you want, body. You're bad. And I need to discipline you and rule over you and decide what you get and what you don't get, right? So our whole lives is really spent in like discounting, devaluing, ignoring, and ruling over the body. There's so much to be gained from being embodied. It's how we experience pleasure. It's just like amazing to do the work to become more embodied. This has been a big thing for me in the last 5 to 10 years, and it's ongoing. The other thing is, and we write about this a fair amount in the book, but I have learned how to bring my body into decision-making in a way that has kept me from betraying myself. I practice what I call the full body no. Before I say yes to doing anything, it's like, okay, mentally, I can give you a million reasons why this is a good idea and I should do this thing. But like, I run it through my body. Does my energy go up or does my energy go down? And if it goes down, it's like, I don't want to do this. This is a no. This is a no. I couldn't do that until I learned how to bring my body into it. In fact, in light of, we were having a conversation before this about this whole strategy that we're supposed to do around our shows. And like every part of my body was like, this is an energy down, full body no for me. I cannot do this. I'm still fighting between my head and my body about that. But like right now, I have to listen to my body. It's a no.
Yeah. Again, said it a million times. If you've listened to this show many times, you've heard me say this. But what I've realized is intuition is knowing without being able to know why you know. If that makes you can't logically tell somebody. When somebody asks you, how do you know that? You literally, the only answer is, I don't know. I just know.
Yeah.
And every time I've had an intuitive feeling, it's one, been 100% correct, but two, it's been very hard to describe how I know.
Yeah.
Which makes decision-making in a very brain logical masculine society very difficult. Especially like running a business. How do you know? I just know. That's not a good answer, but it's a true answer.
Yeah. And I think if you were to poll most major decision makers at companies, day traders, et cetera, they are making decisions based on that knowing. And it is intuitive, it is instinctual, and they're not like evaluating all the data and using that to inform their every single decision. They know. And I think that gets stronger the more that you exercise it.
I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but one thing I've thought a lot about that you're actually the perfect person to talk about this with is that all of these things we use stereotypically as women to like inform our decisions. So I'm thinking like tarot, astrology, our gut, all of these things are dismissed. And I think they're dismissed because they're feminine.
Yes, 100%. And yes, this is my ballywick. As you said, I love this stuff. If it's remotely woo-woo, I'm interested in it because I think it is this devalued source of wisdom and a way to connect with the universe. And so much of patriarchal religion has been funneled through this God the Father archetype, right?
Right. Which is also crazy. Like, and I can say that as someone who went to 18 straight years of Catholic school. If you're not in it and you look at any other religion, it's fucking bananas. Like, you want me to eat, and Catholics literally believe it is the body and blood of Christ. They believe it has been transfigured.
Yes.
That's insane if you're not part of that religion. That's bonkers. And I can do this for every religion, right? But we believe that. So why can't we believe other things?
Yeah. No, Catholicism, it's like the mystery cult of it is wild. And as you mentioned, like the
crazy
rituals, it's wild. It's
tradition.
Nuts. But most modern religions, and I say this as like a deeply spiritual person, it's a form of culture, right? It's actually quite different than the way that it was intended. So Jesus didn't write. He had his 12 disciples, this Jewish rabbi wandering around the desert. The New Testament was written 100 years after he died, passed on by. So we've structured these things. They're all these, it's all a culture. But when you go into the wisdom traditions of all the Abrahamic religions, et cetera, they're all more or less describing the same thing, which is this oneness that like it becomes duality, et cetera. They're all telling very similar stories. And it's much more aligned really with like tarot and Kabbalah, for example, which is the mystical arm of Judaism and sort of the wisdom tradition of Judaism. They are rooted together. There's this amazing guy, Mark Horn, who teaches Kabbalah tarot and astrology. Like the three magi, they're astrologers. The sign of Jesus is the fish. He was born in Pisces. And so anyway, so these are all these like super ancient, emergent ideas. The I Ching, I mean, it's incredible when you actually go into like the Tao Te Ching. And it's this way of talking to the universe. And they're old and beautiful and so fun. And I mean, let me tell you, I ask the I Ching a lot of questions. I throw coins all the time and I always get the advice I need. I love all of these systems. I think they're so rich in part because they just put you in conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the flip a coin, right? It's not about the outcome. It's about your reaction to the outcome.
Yeah.
So it's like, should I do this thing? And you flip it and you get an answer and you either like the answer or you don't like the answer. That tells you what you want.
Yeah. And I would say, like, for example, the Tao Te Ching or the I Ching, and there are I have a lot of resources for this and I've done podcast episodes about it. But if you have to ask a well-formulated question, and what you get back in these hexagrams are these like cones, this like incredible, beautiful wisdom that you have to then translate and apply. So it's also not like, I don't call a psychic and say, do I do this or do I do that? I don't even believe in it. I believe in free will, and there are endless options. But I like to be in a dialogue with my higher self or the universe or God, whatever it is, my spirit guides. One, it just makes life more fun, Tori.
Yeah.
And two, I find it as it's a way of me getting in touch with myself.
We can cut this. Did you ever read Life of Pi?
I did a million years ago, about being on the boat with all the animals.
But that it turns out in the end, he maybe didn't. And then he asked, what's the better story? It's one of my favorite books of all time, because you spend this entire book, he's on a raft with Richard Parker, the tiger, right?
Yes.
And he survives, right? And, the orangutan named Orange Juice and all of this. And then you get to the end and it's about a 3-pager where he's like, maybe none of that happened. Here's the actual story. The Orange Juice is a representation of my mom. Richard Parker was the chef who tried to kill me. Like all of this stuff. And then you get to the end and the guy's like, well, that happened. And he goes, maybe it did. What's the better story?
Yeah.
Like, does it actually matter what happened?
Does it actually matter? I think that's such a critical question. And I also find that when people try and shut like me down or other, often women, about, I have 18 crystals on my desk. They're
pretty.
They're pretty, but I think they're really powerful.
What if that's it? They're pretty.
How does your iPhone work? There's a crystal in there. I love crystals. I wear them all the time. Black tourmaline on a string in my bra. But I find that when people, it's like, it drives some people crazy.
Well, yeah, because it's not logical. It's not masculine.
No, it's not masculine.
I'm like, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe a lot of the things that men do don't work either.
Don't work. But it gives my life meaning. Yeah. I think it even brings my awareness to like, what do I need to like shake out of my body? Black tourmaline is like, they call it the energetic vacuum cleaner. So it's like, all right, I need to like, actually, I'm going to take a shower. Just like get this day off of me. What's the harm? But it's like, what's the better story? And I think in my life, like having faith in some higher order and wanting to talk to the other side and wanting to be in communion has made my life so much richer, adds meaning. And yeah, I'm sorry if that's offensive to someone. Go find your own meaning.
Anybody. Yeah. The other thing with Pi too is that he practices 3 religions.
Oh.
And his rabbi, his priest, and his
imam.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, they all get together and they basically are like, he can't do this. And he
I need to reread this.
Please read it. I'll send you a copy if you don't have it. I love
it.
this book so much. I studied it in school, which was so cool. It was one of the books we read in high school. And they all like literally have basically a conference call with him. They're like, you need to pick one. And he goes, why? And they're like, well, you need to. And all 3 of them are like talking about how, it's crazy that he's trying to do all 3 at once. And he's like, well, I get different things from all of them. So like,
I think that most people don't know, though, that they all have this Abraham. They're all Abraham. They all have the same father. People don't know that about our 3 major religions.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So you wrote this workbook. I have it on my desk. I'm so excited. I'm just going to
You're going to have fun in there.
It's going to rip me a new one. And I'm so excited for it. So you wrote this with a co-author, Courtney, who you said, okay, I want to collaborate with this person for the workbook. Why was it important for you to have a collaborator in this?
So when I would take Honor Best Behavior out into the world, women would say, okay, great. Now what? What do I do about this now that I can see it? And I didn't really have great answers. I have far more answers now, having lived that for a while. But amazing things would happen in these groups of women once women start talking and sharing. Now, I'm not a therapist and I'm not a coach. And I could probably grant myself more authority. But when you're getting into really deep territory with women, I felt like I am not equipped to take people apart and put them back together again in a way that sometimes really deep sharing can evoke. And so I was asked to do a workshop, and I wanted to do it with a coach or a therapist. And so my friend Courtney said she would do it, and she's a brilliant coach, and she uses the Enneagram and a lot of different other models, and the Enneagram and the sins are related. And so we did this workshop together, and it was amazing. And she brought to the workshop this process, which is now in the workbook, of these 7 tools for figuring out what stories are running your life, making them really big, teaching the class, which we discussed, creating personas, etc. And it was so powerful, so fun, and really deep. People did some work in that room and really started to shift some of these stories. And so it was just a no-brainer. I was already working on this workbook to use this process as the backbone for the book. And it was fun. I love collaborating as much as I also love doing my own work. So that was the genesis. I felt like I wanted to go into rooms and feel like I could relax into letting things happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Without being like, oh my God, what am I going to do if something big comes up?
Are you an Enneagram 3?
I am a 6, though a 3 is a good guess. I always type as a 1, 3, or 5. I'm an Enneagram 6.
I was going to say 1, and 5. I was like, I get more 3 vibes from her. You're a 6.
I'm a 6. What are you, 8?
No. Nope. My public version of me
3?
is an 8. Nope.
Okay.
As soon as I say it, I'm a 2.
You're a 2. Okay.
Well, 8s and 2s.
2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you, and I'm also a Cancer, which shocks people. But as soon as you know me in real life, I am actually very sensitive. I'm very sensitive. I cry at everything. And I also just want to be loved so deep. I'm Leslie Knope. I want to be loved so badly. Yeah. And that's so funny.
Well, 8s go to 2s under stress. Does a 2 go to 8 under stress? Okay. All right. So this makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Sag, Sun, Pisces, Moon, Virgo rising.
Oh.
I have a lot of Virgo. Mm-hmm.
That's why everybody likes you. Virgos are the best. Okay. My last question for you, and I could talk to you for so much longer. I could talk to you for 6 hours about this.
Me too.
What is the most rewarding part about embracing wholeness in your life?
Oh, just to be able to relax. I feel like I was so rigid about some major stories in my life. Like the one I mentioned earlier, I'm the only one who can do it right, so I should do it all. And even just working with that story to relax around it and release it, and to say, I'm not going to be the person who does everything today. I'm going to sit on the couch and watch Love Island. And while I do that, I'm going to patrol my own brain to stop me from criticizing myself. Even just like being like, I want to be slothful. I want to be lazy. I want to be someone who understands popular culture. It's just better to just be like, I am all of these things, and I can be lazy. I can be gluttonous. I embrace these parts of myself too. It's a much, much better way to live. Let me tell you.
It's very freeing.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's what we all want, is to actually feel free.
Yes. And I think what we all want, or at least what I want, is just to turn down the volume on that voice inside my head that is scolding and chastising and judging me all the time. And I have really gotten good now at doing that. And it's like, not today. Leave me alone. Go away.
Totally. I admire you and your work so deeply. I'm so thankful to have you. Please plug away both books, because I have both of them on my desk and everybody needs to read them. They are required reading.
Thank you. All right. So On Our Best Behavior is the price women pay to be good. That book is coming out in paperback. The companion workbook is called Choosing Wholeness Over Goodness, a process for reclaiming your full self. You can just do the workbook without reading On Our Best Behavior. My editor wouldn't want me to say that, but it's true. It works sort of in any format, any story in your life. And my podcast is Pulling the Thread, which is the name of my Substack as well. And you can follow me on Instagram, but Elise Loehnen.
In our 100K Club program, we do a book club every quarter. And yours is our third book after myself and another financial book. So I'm really excited.
Oh my God, amazing.
I talked to my programs manager and I was like, this one next. We're doing this one next. So thank you.
Well, if you need anyone to answer any reader questions, you know where to find me.
Oh my gosh. Don't tempt me with a good time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. As we're wrapping up, have you ever read the poem Warning by Jenny Joseph? Do you know this poem?
Will you read it?
I'm going to do a really bad version of it. I've talked about this on a different episode. I saw this poem probably 8 years ago. It was on the wall of a bathroom and I took a photo of it. Yeah, I had to have been like 23. Oh, okay. When I'm an old woman, I shall wear purple with a red hat that doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick the flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We must have friends for dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple.
That's an amazing poem.
I cry every time I read. It's so good. It's literally everything you're talking about. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to wear a hat that doesn't go with my purple dress, and I'm going to eat a bunch of food that makes me happy, and I'm going to spit in public and and make up for the sobriety of my youth.
That is amazing.
And then but now I have to do the right thing. I have to buy clothes and pay our rent. But what if I just practice a little bit right now? Ugh, I love it.
Here's to practicing.